consequently, if something is happening to you that you do not like, you have to always go back and say, how did I contribute to this? What did I do to open the door for this to come in my direction? And when we look at a country or a community or a family or an individual that constantly has certain things happen to them, then you need to analyze, why is this happening? And of course, I've got to always mention the converse. Because if you are in a situation where something negative happens to you, and you think that you don't deserve it, or it shouldn't happen because you've been trying so hard and you've been there, then you have a choice to decide that this is going to be regarded as a test to lift you. Like Job. Job had the most horrible things happen to him. And in it, he never said, oh my goodness, I don't deserve this. He always decided that whatever God allowed to happen, he is going to take you through and bring you out smelling like a rose. He never understood anything. And that is how we need to make a choice, a decision, when we are faced with situations that we don't understand or that is negative towards us. And so we need to understand how to approach it, right? So I know some of our persons have got to leave, but I'm going forward a little more as a result of our little break. So we need to understand that that situation, in the case of Job, is an indication of how we need to approach negative things that happen to us, right? Knowing that out of every negative situation can arise a positive outcome. Because look at the positive outcome in Job's situation. He ended up with twice as much as he had initially. And that is how we need to approach every negative situation that faces us. Every negative situation. And so that brings me back to the coconuts. Now, how did that link? Well, we spoke about the influence of the mind on the body, on the spirit, on the soul, and also the spirit on the soul and on the body. Now, we have to choose what we're going to put into our body. That's how the influence is. And, you know, if we are perishing, if we're dying, if we're sick, then we are in that position for a lack of knowledge. Nobody is ill. But they haven't been warned by their spirit not to go down the road they went in order to get them ill. Let me rephrase that. Every illness is a result of our not listening to our spirits when our spirits talk to our mind. Because every time we are about to do something that is detrimental to our health, whether it's our spiritual health or psychological health or our physical health, every time we are about to damage our health in any of these three areas, our spirit talks to us and tells us, do not do that. Where does it talk to us? The mind didn't tell me, he said to me. Or my mind told me. Or I had a gut feeling. That there was a feeling, as intuition, something down in the bottom of my creative forces that says, I do not want to create this bad thing. So that is why we get it there, in the mind that programs the rest of the body. And we get it in our guts, where we have our creative forces. But that is where reproduction takes place. And anytime your body does not want to reproduce something that is bad for it, you get a feeling down here. And you get it up here. Now the one up here is coming from your spirit. Because out, the word heart is often used synonymous with spirit and sometimes with soul. Out of the heart, the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. That is coming out of your spirit. So when people say things out of their mouth and they say, it's a joke, watch it. I didn't really mean that. Watch it. Why did I say that? Watch it. It is coming from a depth of place that sometimes you are not even willing to admit. And that is why we will be judged for every idle word. Because our spirits know what's best for us. It's an inbuilt thing. And that's how we are going to have the right perspective towards our purpose. And so we have to use priorities. In life, we have choices and choices and choices and choices. But there's a priority in making our choices if we are going to make good choices that are going to help us. Now, what is the priority? One, it's called the relationship hierarchy. And the priority is this. Our first responsibility is always to our Creator, because our Creator knows what is best for us. So anytime we have a choice, what would our Creator want us to be? That must be our priority. And then there is a hierarchy. The next thing is, what would my family need? First, what would my spouse need? If you're not married, what would my parents need? What would they want? So in terms of taking into consideration, the hierarchy is my Creator first, my spouse, if you're married, or my parents, if you're not married. Then we filter down to the rest of the family, children, but that's the order, then the wider family, then my friends. Then, how is this consistent with my purpose? Because everything I do must be consistent with my purpose. Then we move on to our spiritual family. And the spiritual family are those who have the same philosophy, the same faith, the same way of life that we do. After that, we move on to our physical community, then to our nation, then to our world. And we all interact with all of these entities. And we need to understand that there is a hierarchy. This must come before that. Any inversion of priority means dysfunctionality in every relationship. Moving right on, that's just a little background information. But it means that everything we do has to do with our spirit, soul, and body. Now, how did the coconut come into this? We're still trying to get there. The coconut came into this because my people perish for a lack of knowledge. And all the knowledge is in the book of the law. The B-I-B-L-E, the basic instructions before leaving earth. And so, if we look into the Genesis 1:29, we will see every single thing that we are supposed to eat for the sake of our bodies. And if we eat the correct thing, then everything will be great. Now, how do we relate that to coconut? One, the colors are our indication to our nutrition. The colors are an indication to our nutrition. And it is our use of the colors that will determine the health of the body. We need 50% green, 35% yellow, and 15% red. And when we mix the three of them together, we get brown. So we are not talking about brown as in cooked flesh, meat. We are talking about brown as in naturally occurring in nature. And so our most complete and nutritious at the cellular level food are the browns. So we look at our maize berries and the kiwi and tell me some other brown stuff. The brown on the coconut.
Raspberry.
Yes. And I want you to notice the shells of all the nuts are brown, edible. I'm not just talking about the hard shells, but the nuts, the almonds, and all of those things that have a little shell of coating of brown. That's where all nutrition is. And that is why we need to eat the skins of things once we can deal with them. The mango skin, the power skin, and inherent in the skins is usually a little bitter, right? Why? Because the bitter is the poison that protects the skin from insects getting in. It's the same thing with the destruction of seeds. The bitter is what protects the seed. All seeds are bitter. Orange seed, any kind of seed. It is protecting the life force in the seed. That's why you can dry them and keep them going forever. And because as soon as the insect starts to eat it, tastes the bitter and backs off. But it is not going to harm. It is therapeutic for humans. And so this is why we need to learn to appreciate the scarcities and the bitter stuff. All right?